Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hazimah binti Zakir and my metric number is 273304. So now I'm going to present the summary of MFRS 13. MFRS 13 has been issued in May 2011 and is applicable to annual periods beginning on or after 1st January 2013. It establishes a framework when a market becomes less active to assess fair value. Next, MFRS 13 is used for financial and non-financial items. The fair value definition is the price that will be received to sell an asset or paid to transfer a liability, which is exit price, in an orderly transaction between market participants at the measurement date. Next, market participants are buyers and sellers in the principal or most advantageous market who are independent of each other, knowledgeable about the asset of liability, and able and willing to enter into a transaction for the asset or a liability. There are 4 types of measurement of fair value. The first is asset or liability to be measured. Next is the principal or most advantageous market. And third is valuation technique. And last, the level of fair value hierarchy. MFRS 13 have 3 valuation techniques, which are first is a market approach. So market approach, where it is used price generated by market transaction involving comparable assets. Next is a cost approach. It reflects the replacement cost. And last but not least is income approach. It discounts future income and expenses reflecting current market expectations. Fair value measurements are classified into 3 levels. The first level is unadjusted quarter price for identical assets and liabilities in active markets. The second level is inputs other than quarter market price included within level 1 that are observable for the asset or liability either directly or indirectly. And the third level, unobservable inputs developed by an entity using the best information available where there is little or no market activity for the asset or liability at the measurement date.
Assalamualaikum, and a very good day. I bid to doctor. My name is Nur Shazwani binti Sani and my metric number is 273697. I will be presenting about 3 accounting theories that related to the development of MFRS 13 fair value measurement. The first one is positive theory. For positive accounting theory, it can be considered an attempt made by Dave Fay as he wishes to give an explanation on why certain companies or organizations choose specific accounting choices instead of the others. So when using PAP, it can be assumed that incentive to management is one of the main factors of accounting choices. So positive theory that focuses on the opportunistic aspect, it is expected for the management to choose accounting choices that will meet their wealth maximization objectives. So it is supposed to have a high possibility for the management to choose an income increasing choice that could give a positive effect towards their compensation and also avoid the violation of debt covenants. And not only that, this theory can be helpful when explaining the manager's choice of certain accounting methods regarding self-interest, the existing relationship among the stakeholders, and also on how financial accounting benefits them when using proper application that could help to minimize costs by aligning the competing interests. Second is pragmatic theory. As this theory focuses on the observation of accountants or those who use the information provided by them, it is proper to use it when comparing the choice of valuation, whether using a fair value approach or historical cost approach. Today, many parties such as investors, financial analysts, shareholders, creditors, employees, and also communities, they prefer the fair value method over the historical cost method. And many accountants have given an opinion that some of the new standards, especially the fair value concept, is something that they are not familiar with yet. And to add on to it, even participants in the MASB working groups are only learning about the standards theoretically and cannot fully participate with feedback on possible implementation issues. And luckily, the Malaysian Accounting Standard Board, MASB, and also the accounting profession, they are looking through these issues and applied a pragmatic approach in recognizing that there are a few issues that needs to be resolved and wisely elected to adopt fair value accounting in phases. And since MFRS 13 has provided guidance on the use of valuation techniques when measuring fair value, the accountant must play a vital role in choosing which technique is appropriate to be used. So therefore, MFRS 13 highlights that an entity should maximize the inputs that considered to be relevant and minimize the ones that are unobservable inputs. The third one is regulatory theory. In relation to regulatory theory, accountants rely on accounting standards as it can be used to resolve certain current conflicts for them to provide useful information to users. When it comes to valuing an asset or liability, some accountants may have difficulties in doing so, and these are a few elements that must be considered when making valuation in accordance to MFRS 13. So the first one is the characteristic of the asset or liability. Second is the market in which the transaction is assumed to take place. Third, the application to non-financial assets. And the fourth is the application to liabilities and own equity. And since MFRS 13 is mostly dependent on active markets and assesses the market activity, it also provides guidance on inactive markets, which helps to resolve the issue of valuing certain assets or liabilities that cannot rely on active markets. So that is all for the three accounting theories that related to the development of MFRS 13 fair value measurements.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Siti Nurfatiha binti Izhar. My metric number is 273359. So here, I want to present about the main parties that involved in development of MFRS 13, which is fair value measurement. Okay, the first one is Malaysian Accounting Standard Board, MASB. MASB is the one of primary stakeholder engaged in development or a formulation of the MFRS 13, which is fair value measurement. MASB mission is to establish and encourage the adoption of high-quality accounting and reporting standards that are aligned with the international best practices for the benefit of users, preparers, auditors, and the general public. Next, MASB collaborates with other accounting standard setters at the national and international levels. MASB also monitors the development of additional national and international accounting standards. MASB is directly contribute to the international financial reporting development with creating a working group that is responsible for various projects, where each working group is responsible for reviewing and conducting in-depth analysis of the assigned project. The second one is Accounting Standard Advisory Forum, ASAF. ASAF provides professional assistance to the board in developing the accounting standard project, which is MFRS 13. ASAF goals is to provide a forum where members can constructively contribute to the board goals of developing the globally accepted high-quality accounting standard. ASAF serves as the board advisory group, which is all the members came from all over the world, to ensure that the group has a diverse geographical representation in developing the accounting standard. The third one is academia. In developing this MFRS 13, the board needs feedback and advice from the academia. The feedback is required in developing of the new accounting standard, because academia has studied and researched on this topic for a long time as part of their paper or research requirements. Thus, the board can gain a broader perspective and opinion by enlisting the existence of fresh mind and perspective while developing this accounting standard. Okay, the fourth one is professional accounting bodies. In developing this accounting standard, MFRS 13, professional accounting bodies collaborating with the government to implement professional accounting regulation in reviewing and analyzing the financial statement. It's significant to ensure that the quality of financial reporting in business cannot be overstated. As a result, their input is important in developing this accounting standard, which is MFRS 13, because the financial statements are clearer and more understandable. Okay, the last one is users of financial statement. Okay, the main user is directors, shareholder, investor, and investment analysis. The input from this main user are important to interpret the financial statement for the companies. Therefore, the board can revise the accounting standard based on users of financial statement option and insight. That's all from me. Thank you.
There are three verifications to verify MFRS 13. First is dogmatic. This basis is when we accept what we read and statements made by others simply on the basis of their authority. The disadvantage of this basis are we only base on the personal opinion about the person or group statements rather than have the evidence. Second is self-evidence. This basis is when we believe something because it appears to be rational or obviously true based on our general knowledge and experience. The disadvantage is in this argument is that what one person considers rational or obvious may not be to another person. And third is scientific basis. This basis is when we believe in a statement that is supported by the logical connection between the terms and objective empirical evidence. This basis was developed to compensate for the other two shortcomings. The weakness of this approach is that it typically requires more time and money due to the need to conduct research and conduct experiments. So I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Atika binti Habibdin. My matrix number is 273774. I'm going to present about the nature of MFRS 13. Based on the research, the nature of MFRS 13, which is the fair value measurement, is a principle-based accounting. Usually, the corporate firms are required to prepare the financial statement as prescribed by the Financial Accounting Standard Board, which is the standard are generally principle-based. The principle-based method is one of the popular accounting approach internationally, as it is better to regulate the accounting principles to the company's transactions instead of regulating the company's operations to the rule-based approach. MFRS 13 applies to the fair value measurement, obligatory or legalized by the standard that is not covered by MFRS 13. It replaced the inconsistent regulatory which is established in most of the IFRS standard with one source of regulations on fair value measurement. This standard specifies general principles for the recognition, measurement as well as the disclosure for the economic transaction requirement. It also provides the regulation and inspires professional judgment in appealing the principles to the entities and industries. MFRS 13, which is fair value measurement, can be related to the principle-based method when it measures the fair value with a clear definition and introduces set needs for almost all of the fair value measures. The valuations may be different in difficulty depends on the type of underlying assets or liability as well as the availability information. Moreover, the principle-based accounting is an explanation policy, which means that if the companies do not comply with the principles, they must give the reason of why they are using the different principles. If the company is using a principle-based accounting method, the accountant not only have to follow the loosely controlled set of principles, but they are also expected to have their own judgment when making the decision about the preference of accounting requirements. In this case, the accounting and auditors will need to have their own understanding of the accounting to apply for the best options, either to use MFRS in a particular situation or not. Lastly, regulatory is also important because it can help the companies to compare the financial results more easier. MFRS also encourage the regulatory as each of the companies need to track on the similar principles for the recognition of the liability, asset, capital as well as for the reporting of financial results. However, it gives the companies elasticity to change from the established principles if it will illustrate a clear picture of the company's financial operations that may result in a loss of consistency in results that published by the various entities. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Munirah Rahab binti Alumar with batch number 273369. I will continue with the limitation of MFRS 13 fair value management. So what is limitation? Limitation is the act of limiting of state of being limited. So based on our research, we found several limitations in this standard. So we will discuss in the next slide. In this slide, we will discuss the limitation of MFRS 13 fair value management that we found based on our research. So the first limitation of MFRS 13, by applying this fair value management, it indirectly it will affect the market. It means fair value management may lead to the negative effect towards the market. For our further information, when an asset has been lower due to a drop in current market trading prices, the asset diminishes, which may induce increased selling at a potentially even lower price. Without the valuation marked down by fair value management, firm may not be feel forced to sell that asset in a depressed market or in the down market in order to avoid additional depreciation. Beside that, it also known as losses in historical context. Losses in historical context in aspect of asset may have a back here and diminishing net profit, so the business success may be unfairly lower. The second limitation is reversal of value. A reversal might happen on either the upside or the downside. As I mentioned, fair value management may cause problems for businesses and user of financial data. Market condition under which certain asset and liability can be traded can be volatile and change often. Furthermore, in the event of the turbulent market, companies that apply fair value measurement will reassess the current value of certain asset and liability, which could result in significant swing in the value of such asset and liability. By applying fair management, it also may have provided false information at the time. The last and also the third limitation of this standard we found is by applying this standard, maybe it can manipulate the price that can affect both traded and quoted in illiquid marketplace. I think that's limitation of this standard. So the next we're going to discuss about solution to overcome this limitation. Okay, the last part of our discussion is a suggestion to overcome the limitation of MFRS 13 that we discussed earlier. So there are few suggestions from our opinion. So we will see in the next slide. The first suggestion that we suggest is reverse back the standard in order to ensure it can minimize or not affected market at all. Why we suggest this? We suggest this suggestion in order to overcome the limitation of the market effect. So obviously we know that when the market adversely affected, it will give impact to our country economic growth and development. Other than that, we found that it also the give impact toward the losses in its historical context. So I think Malaysia Accounting Standard Board MASB need to look forward for this issue. So I think in order to overcome the limitation of the market effect, so this is the best suggestion. For the second one is the provide new sub-concept in the standard in terms of to narrow gap between differences of asset and liabilities. Like we mentioned above, when the company apply fair value measurement, it will lead to the problem which is huge differences between asset and also liability. For sure, we know that for during normal time is not problem at all, but during adverse or volatile circumstances, it has become problem because it may not correctly represent an asset true value in an orderly market. For the last suggestion that we suggest to overcome the limitation of the manipulation of the price, so I think the boards need to come up with the act in the standard because of to ensure liquid and illiquid are not affected of this manipulation. Um, I think by doing this, we believe that it will have a lot of company that using and apply this MFRS 13, which is fair value measurement. I think that's all from our group.